All right, welcome to week 2 of DES-232, Intermediate Image Editing. Last week, we started by working on a 20-frame cinemagraph where we learned a little bit about masking by creating this cinemagraph by duplicating a animated or MP4 file, duplicating an MP4 file and converting it into a still image and creating a little mask to cover one small section of the MP4 file and masking it in such a way that the majority of the image stays stationary and the one area that was masked would move. So we create this kind of very interesting image where part of it is not moving and part of it's moving. And that was our introduction to masking. And while it was kind of a crude demonstration of masking, tonight and tomorrow, we're going to get into a more refined level of masking where we're actually going to mask certain images and manipulate color elements within the image. And I'm going to show you some of the most common masking techniques. There are going to be some masking techniques we're going to look at next week that are going to be slightly different. Just keep in mind that I'm not trying to scare anybody. I'm not trying to torture anybody. This is an intermediate class, so this is not something which is going to be dead on simple to do. At the same time, I'm going to do my darndest to make it easy as possible for you to understand, and I will do my best to try to keep it fairly within the level that I believe it should be, which is intermediate. So, you know, for those of you who know some of the techniques that we're going to be working on tonight, I apologize if you do, but keep in mind that there are some who do not have the same level of skill that you might have. And as I say, this is an intermediate, and there are really quite a lot of different ways one can approach masking in general. And that's largely what this particular course is about. If you read through the week assignments, most of the assessments are basically quizzes, and like I believe this quiz this week involves masking. A lot of what we're going to be learning through the next 4 weeks, the next 3 weeks, we did our first week, will be masking techniques, and then techniques that you use in conjunction with the masking that you're going to do. So before I actually begin discussing the discussion and go into the demonstration, there's a couple of small things that I want to do. One thing I wanted to do was I wanted to show you a video that I got from one of the students. It was from Margaret Milford. And while most of the animations were pretty much standard to what I did, I think Margaret went a little bit over the top with this. And when I saw it, I just cracked up. I thought, this is really crazy and very kooky, and I actually liked it very much. So I hope she doesn't mind me showing this, but I just thought you should see this because it's a very clever use of the technique. There, look at the little dog's eyes. I got a major kick out of this. I thought this was really funny. So anyway, really good job, Margaret. I love this. I thought this was extremely funny, and it just gave me the biggest chuckle to see this. So I thought everybody should take a look at that. All right. So what that leaves me with is talking about our discussion for week 2 first. Basically, the discussion is going to be around the concept of non-destructive editing. There's something that I think I'd like to explain to you about Photoshop. Photoshop, by nature, is a destructive application. Pretty much everything that you do within the context of Adobe Photoshop to some small degree destroys things. So let's say, for instance, I'm given a photograph, a JPEG photograph. The moment I bring that photograph into Photoshop, and I convert it from a JPEG into a PSD file, I have begun the process of destroying the JPEG. All right. So in other words, what you're always going to want to do is, if you're working on a project, and I don't care what this project is, it doesn't have to be just editing, but no matter what you're doing in Photoshop, you should always maintain the original JPEG. Keep it somewhere safe, because you never know when you're going to mess something up and you have to go back and you have to redo what you're doing, or you may have to do something different with that image. Always keep your original intact. That's the first thing. And secondly, understand that by nature, Adobe Photoshop is kind of a destructive program anyway. Everything that you do to an image. Hi, Lori. How are you tonight?
I'm all right. How are you guys?
Good. You don't sound too good, though. What's the matter? You not feeling well?
Oh, my God. My husband and I have been really, really sick with bad upper respiratory flu.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah.
I haven't been feeling very good myself. I've been coughing and my chest been hurting a little bit. So I don't know. Maybe it's just the cold and the hot.
Oh, we don't have any hot here, but
Oh, well,
it's pretty bad here in Montana.
Yeah.
Mom's got bronchitis, so if I'm a little quiet today, excuse
No,
me.
listen, that's perfectly fine. You relax, and if you need to ask me something, feel free to ask me something, but don't feel that you have to chime in. Just relax and watch what I'm going to do and listen to what I'm going to say. And like I say, if there's something, if I want to know something, I'll ask you. If I don't ask you, if you wanted to ask me something, feel free to do so. Otherwise, you just relax and watch the show, okay?
Sounds great, Bill. And I don't know if you got my email or not, but
I did. I appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Post is in, and good. So, and the videos were really helpful, the ones you posted, and so thank you for those.
Good. I have more for you for tonight. We're going to go over all this stuff. So I was just basically talking about the destructive nature of Photoshop and saying that it is destructive by nature. So basically, what we're going to be talking about in this discussion this week is non-destructive editing. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to go into I wanted to show you that I created, let me go into my announcements here real quickly. And like I did last week, I just wanted to point out that I have some links that I've given you for week 2 assignment, all right? These links basically are YouTube videos, very short YouTube videos that discuss the quick selection tool and different aspects of making selections, which is what I'm going to be working on tonight. I'm going to actually be doing all selection stuff. And again, I'll get into it later as we go on, but I've actually produced some links for you specifically to help you understand a little bit deeper in another person's voice other than my own, the process of making selections and modifying selections with the intent of creating photo montages of one kind or another, which is what we're going to be doing tonight, okay? So that's that. Then my other one here is a announcement for our learning coach. So you now have Wanda's information for week 2. If you need to reach out to her as well as myself, now you have her information. Finally, I have a link in here for non-destructive editing. This is a link. It's basically a Google link. So when you open it up, you're going to find a whole lot of different articles that talk about non-destructive editing. So I'm sure that if you went through several of those articles, you would be able to find something interesting to say about the aspects of editing non-destructively or destructively in Photoshop. And again, this is specifically about Photoshop. And also, maybe you might even find the proper tidbits to talk about where and when you should be editing and where and when you should stop editing. Right. And that would also give you something that you could use for citation, a reference. So again, you can go and you can do your own Google search. And I don't want you to just totally rely on the links that I give you. But my goal is to try to give you something to help get you started. That's really what this is all about. And when I do something like create links for you for the assignment, I thought, I looked at a bunch of links myself to just go through them to see which ones probably made the most sense for me to give you. And I picked several, and I mean, I had like about 20 of them that I looked at. But out of the 20, I think there's like 3 or 4 in there that I thought were easy enough and direct enough that they made sense to show them to you. So I want to mention these things because they're in here, and I want to make sure everybody understands that you should go in and check this stuff out. All right?
Thank you.
Yeah. Non-destructive editing, this is right from Adobe. So and again, I'm not going to read this whole thing, but I'm just going to talk a little bit about this to give you some of the idea of what you're going to find. All right. So techniques for non-destructive editing. Non-destructive editing allows you to make changes to an image without overwriting the original image data, which remains available in case you want to revert to it. One of the things that you always try to do when you're working, and again, we're now in an intermediate class. This isn't just a beginning class. Intermediate class, you now begin to start thinking about how you work in Adobe Photoshop. You know, in the first weeks, it's just, you know, what does Photoshop do and how do I get some familiarity with it? Well, now we're beginning to delve into what Photoshop really does and what you as a designer really need to know in order to work with it properly, okay? So non-destructive editing doesn't remove data from the image. The image quality doesn't degrade when you make edits. You can perform non-destructive editing in Photoshop in several ways. Working with adjustment layers. One of the amazing things that Photoshop has for us today are layer adjustments, layer effects, and layer masks, all of which enable us to do a lot of work without physically damaging the actual original art. So that's something that we need to know about, and we're going to be working with that tonight. Transforming with smart objects. Smart objects enable non-destructive scaling, rotating, and warping. Now, we aren't really going to be getting into making smart objects in this particular course because the techniques that are involved in making these smart objects genuinely don't apply to the work that we're doing. However, they are things that you'll learn about in the future, and I mention them because this is what this particular article is talking about. Filtering with smart filters. So we will be working with filters, and we will be working with effects. And all of these effects are non-permanent, meaning 2 things. We can go in and we can adjust them anytime that we want, or we can remove them anytime that we want. And you will see this tonight and tomorrow night, in fact. All right. And then, of course, adjusting things like adjusting variation, shadows, highlights with smart objects. Shadowing and highlight variations can be applied with smart objects. Retouching on a separate layer. The clone stamp, healing brush, all these things which we're not really going to be doing because we're just not heading into this kind of retouching stuff. But and again, I'm not going to read all of this for you because it would take too long, and a lot of it has nothing to do with what we're doing. But I will say masking, layer and vector masks are non-destructive, because you can re-edit the mask without losing the pixels they hide. Filter masks let you mask out effects of smart filters on smart object layers. So we will be working with layering and masking tonight. So you will see this, and that will be one of the things. Cropping non-destructively, we probably won't see that because we'll be mostly masking. Okay, but this is just one. This is just one of the non-destructive articles you're going to find on that link that I gave you in the announcements. And I just wanted to mention that to you because, again, you know, you kind of have an idea of the kind of stuff that you're going to find and how it's going to help you when you go in and do your discussion. I don't know. Did you say you already did yours, Lori?
Yeah, I'm sorry, Bill. There's just some background noise, and I've been coughing, so.
Oh, that's fine. It's okay. I thought I heard you say you already did yours.
I did my discussion, yeah.
Okay. Did you look at my discussion?
Yes. In fact, I replied to you, and I actually went ahead and printed this out because I thought this is going to be really, really handy.
What? Printed what out?
What you were just on the Adobe.
We have a link to that.
Yeah, I
That's
printed
it. Yeah, the discussion. The link will take you to the Google page, the Google search that I did. And if I'm not mistaken, the very first one that you're going to come to in the main body of the page links is that Adobe. It's actually from Adobe. It's right here.
that one. This is the one that I printed.
Yeah, well, you're going to. What I'm saying is that's, I think, the very first one that you're going to stumble across when you follow that link that's in the announcement. So I doubt you'll miss this. And what I'm saying is the only reason I chose this one is because this came right from Adobe. The other ones come from all kinds of sources, and I don't know very much about them because this was an afterthought. I had already wrote my dissertation about the discussion of, non-destructive editing. I already done that. I just thought, it would be very helpful to have a link for you guys to make it easier for you to have to, go in and do all the searching by yourself. That's all.
Exactly. And sometimes when you search for stuff, you get some really kind of out there stuff and stuff that was done in 2012, 2013. And, all the Adobe programs have changed so much since then. So, but I did think it was useful to print that out because it helps me if I have something right in front of me other than the computer sometimes.
Right. And another thing that you could do, and this is for everybody, as a matter of fact, another thing that you could do is whenever you're in one of our classes, it doesn't even have to be my class. It could be any one of these classes. More than likely, you're working in one or the other of the Adobe programs. And more than likely, the programs that you're all going to be working on will be CC 2018 at this point. So one of the things that I generally do is, like, for instance, I said non-destructive editing in Photoshop CC 2018. And yeah, you're going to get a bunch of stuff that's not 2018, but you will definitely, by putting CC 2018 behind Photoshop, if there's anything that is specifically for 2018, that will come up first because that's what you're specifically asking for. So my point is, whenever you do any kind of a Google search or any kind of search, always think in terms of how I can make it as specific as possible. The more specific your search is, the more likely you are to stumble upon what you're looking for pretty much exactly the way you want it.
Exactly. And it really, the keywords play no pun intended, the keywords play a key role in what's going to pop up in your search too.
Absolutely. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah, so it's just something that I mentioned to you all because, like I say, I'm not saying that the links that I've provided are the only links out there. There's many of them. I just thought that some of the ones that I chose were kind of good. And as a matter of fact, if you don't mind, I'm going to scroll down here. I went a little bit off topic here. I went and actually found this video, how to convert depixelated images and convert into high quality photos in Photoshop.
Yeah.
While this video isn't mandatory, it's very cool and you should watch it. I found it interesting in context with non-destructive editing. This video is demonstrating what should be considered destructive editing. If you watch this, it takes a picture, which is low-res picture, and it turns it into a fairly decent, and I'm not going to say this is a really magnificent approach, and it isn't something that I normally want to do, but it is a way that if you're really stuck with a lower quality image, you have options as to how you can make that image somewhat better. This video walks you through a process of destructive editing, which will actually make the image appear perhaps usable. And again, you have to look at this video and you have to look at the girl and at the end say to yourself, do I really believe this is, worth it or not? But I thought it would be something you should watch, and I'd like to hear your opinion about what you think on it. I mean, I thought it was a little bit convoluted how you did it. There's a number of steps involved in it. However, if you did it a couple of times, I would think you would be able to get the process down so that if it was something that you wanted to use, you could use it,
Right. And what I thought was cool is, he did make the resolution better. And I thought that part was cool. And then I liked it because he went step by step,
Yeah, and I don't know. I think he started off at 72 pixels per inch and went up to 300 pixels per inch, which was a large jump up. Now, for instance, tonight, I'm going to be demonstrating how to work on 3 girls. I'm going to show you how to silhouette part of 3 girls. Oh, and by the way, I want to mention this. I had an email from somebody, and I observed this myself. You're provided for your assignment. You're provided with 4 photographs of girls.
Right, I saw it. Yeah, I saw it.
One of them is a broken link. But here's the point. I don't want anybody to get upset over this. You don't have to worry about downloading all 4 of those pictures. I didn't download all 4 of them. I only downloaded the 3 that I could get. And in the end, if you really read the instructions, you don't really have to submit more than 1 picture. You have to pick one.
Yeah,
and use 1. So you've got 3 there. And to be honest with you, what I'm going to do tonight, I'm going to spend the entire night after I get done, talking. I'm going to spend the entire night demonstrating how to mask all 3 of those pictures. So by the end of the night, I should have all 3 of those pictures masked for you so that you should have some idea of how to approach masking them so it won't be that much torture for you. And then tomorrow night, I'm going to come in and I'm going to work on playing around with color and different things that you can do once you get these pictures masked.
Cool.
All right.
Very good.
So there you go. That's the discussion. I'm going to just go over the prompt on this. Let's see here. I'm not going to read all this stuff. You should read all this. Non-destructive techniques, working in the industry. This is something I think is very important for you to think about when you're reading this. This is very generic, but you should read it and get familiar with it. But as far as the prompt is concerned, when you're employed in the industry as a graphic designer, you may be asked to retouch images of models who are advertising for your client's products. I don't know whether you remember or not, but last week I showed you a number of images that I had to create for a company. It had nothing to do with models, but they actually had to do with pictures of room settings. And what I had to do is I had to replace either cabinet surfaces or flooring in those pictures. Now, depending upon how it goes tonight, I have a few more of them at the very end of the night. If there's any time left over, I'm going to open up and I'm going to show you a couple of others. Because in the end, I did about 18 cabinets, and I did approximately 28 floors. So I did a whole lot of these pictures. Okay, some of them came out like crap. Some of them came out really phenomenal. And the reason that is because each one of the different materials, the flooring materials, each one of them worked well or didn't work well. It wasn't so much that my process was wrong. My process was right, or as the best it could possibly be. It's just that some of the floors were much more difficult to render than the others, okay? So anyway, I may get to that. I may not get to it. But anyway, I mention that because where they're talking about graphic designers, retouching models, blah, 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 I just want you to be aware that, you may not be retouching cosmetic models. You may be retouching hot dogs or hamburgers or cabinetry or flooring. There's a whole bunch of different things that you might be doing that has nothing to do with cosmetic advertisement. So I didn't want you to just think, because this says this, I didn't want you to think that, your horizons were limited to that. You should think about it on a broader term because you could be applying these techniques all over the place. You never know what somebody's going to bring you to modify. So since your job as a graphic designer is to make your advertisement as effective as possible, that is your number one goal after all. How would you go about considering the ethical ramifications of too much retouching? Well, first of all, you are the arbiter of that, but your client is also the arbiter of that. You have to know when to reel your client in, and you have to be able to do that in a very tactful way, because perhaps the client may want to go too far with this, and you have to be able to warn them. I think I made my point, I don't know where I made it, whether it was in last week's or maybe even this week, about a real estate. I think it was, I responded to one of the students about this. What if you're a real estate photographer and you have a house and you want to sell a house? So what you do is you go in there and you modify, add pictures of trees, change the grass somehow, add bushes, make this place look real sweet. And then, the person who's looking at this picture saying, oh, wow, I got to see this place. And then they get there and they're like, hey, wait a minute. Where are the trees? Where are the bushes? Look at that grass. You see what I mean? You could end up causing trouble. So you really have to be willing and able to step back a little bit and say to yourself, you know, how far do I go? If you take a look at my discussion, I took a picture, or I found a picture of a before and after shot of Madonna. And look at that picture. Look at it very carefully and see what she really looks like. And look, and you know something? Look, she was very pretty at one time, but she's older now. We all get older, and this is part of life.
Exactly.
But the problem is, do people who want to spend money to see her perform want to see her looking like an old bag? I don't think so. So in the particular case that she's in, it makes sense for her to do this. It's not particularly ethical, but then is she really ethical? I mean, I also mentioned, I think in there that I had a friend of mine take me to a Madonna concert. That's a funny story all by itself. Basically, I could tell you the whole story, but I'll just tell you the synopsis of it. Him and his daughter were going to go, and him and his daughter had a fight, and his daughter wouldn't go with him. So he had these very expensive tickets because we were right up on stage practically. And he dragged me along with him because he didn't want to go by himself, and he couldn't get anybody else to go. So I went in with him to watch this Madonna concert. And I only mention this because if you look at the picture of Madonna's on the stage with all these bright lights on her and everything. And, you know, when you got the bright lights on and she's probably heavily made up, you know, and she's got gloves on her hands so you can't see any of her age. Her legs are covered. Everything's covered, right? You don't see the age on her. You see what I'm saying? So the whole thing is kind of an illusion. That's what it really comes down to. Now, again, I go back to what I was saying. Is it ethical? Well, you know, I don't know whether I'd say it's ethical or not. However, how are you going to govern someone like Madonna? I mean, it's one.
I mean, any of those stars, you can't. I mean,
exactly.
You know, and I don't think that she, you know, at one point in time, I mean, you know, I'm no spring chicken, and at one point in time, you know, I looked up to her, and I'm glad I'm not that age now, where I look up to her. And I don't have anything against, I'm not saying anything bad about her.
No.
But I don't think that what she portrays is ethical to certain age groups of the female gender. And I certainly wouldn't want my daughter wearing some of what she wears to school, say.
Right. Well, you know, the other thing too is, don't forget, you know, it's all about making money. They're looking at how they can make money while they still can stand up. I mean, eventually what's going to happen is she's going to have a broken hip and she ain't going to be able to dance around anymore. So she's out trying to make as much money as she possibly can. She's milking the cow as hard as she can is really what it comes down to.
Right.
And but I mean, that gets back into this ethical kind of thing, you know. Now, it's much worse. It's much worse if you are like McDonald's and you are showing this beautiful, you know, really scrumptious looking hamburger, and then you go there saying, oh, I want one of those hamburgers. You go there and you actually open the box up and take a look at what you got, and you say to yourself, you know what, this is nothing like what's in that picture. Nothing.
Perfect example of advertisement on, you know, TV commercials. I mean, they show these mouth
all the time,
and you go there and it's like, I've just lost my appetite.
Yeah. No, it's absolutely true. And that, I think, is probably one of the worst case scenarios, because there are tons and tons and tons of companies that are up there doing this, showing these products that when you really get there and buy the products, they just don't live up to the shots that they show you on TV. They very seldom ever do.
Right. And it's funny you mentioned the real estate thing, because I bought this house in 2009. Yeah. And I saw pictures of, and I just happened to come across it because it wasn't even on the market yet. And I did see it it wasn't supposed to be listed yet, but it was. Well, the picture was from the guy that lived here 6 years prior. Yeah. Well, when I found a real estate agent to take me here, and it was very nice, like you said, and it does have trees. Yeah. But it didn't show the anywhere from 6 to 12 foot weeds, literally, on almost, 2.5 acres. Yeah. So you couldn't even see the house. You could barely see the roof line when we pulled up, and my real estate agent literally had to make a path for me to walk through. So
Right.
there is that point where, okay, this is false. I think someone in last week's discussion about it was a brochure or something for a Florida, I don't know, getaway place, and they used a Hawaiian background. That's
Right.
total misrepresentation.
Right. Well, this is exactly what we're talking about. This is the point, and I think it's valuable to at least have a few minutes of a discussion over this, because this is what you're going to be writing about in your discussion this week. At what point you might refuse to retouch a photo in a way that your client wants it retouched. See, that's a very important thing, because what happens very often is that a person is, I reluctantly use the word desperate, but that's kind of like desperate to get money. Or, if you're out there, especially if you're a freelancer, you're out there, you're looking to make money. I mean, that's part of how you live, and if your client wants something retouched, when do you pull back and say to the client, you're going too far with this and I can't do it. I'm sorry. I won't be a part of this. Now, in some cases, the client just might be overzealous. Other times, the client might be literally trying to be deceptive. And you have to be able to very quickly determine which is which and be able to deal with it. That's really what it comes down to.
Exactly.
And discuss whether or not, as a graphic designer's place to consider the ethics of retouching and how retouching might impact consumer and society in a whole. Now, you're going to make the statement that you make, but I'm going to tell you flat out, and I mean this in all sincerity, it is a designer's place to consider the ethics of retouching. Definitely.
Absolutely.
And I think that there are two different ways that you could look at this. There's the real and there's the entertaining. That you can go crazy if you're doing something which is meant to entertain somebody. The sky is the limit. I can see you doing anything that you want to do. But if it's something that's being informative, there are cutoff points that you have to learn to respect. Very important for you to understand that. So I mentioned that simply because, that's one of the bullet points, and I figured I might as well lay that right on the table for you, because you may feel differently. And if you feel differently about it, well, you know what? You can counter my argument. But that is my argument at this point.
Right. Yep.
And then, of course, for your citation, use articles. Hopefully, you'll be able to find articles in the links that I've provided up there for you, so you should be all right. Very important point I want to make down here for your initial and reply post. To develop a group understanding of the topic, challenge each other, build on each other, be respectful, but discuss it and figure it out together. All right. So it's very important that these replies that you come up with are meant to discuss the topic at hand, and you should try to work it in such a way. And when they say challenge each other, debate with each other. Don't challenge each other, but debate with each other. Have a debate. Make it an exchange of ideas. That's what it should be.
Ask questions.
Yeah. Ask questions or pose a theory and see whether somebody wants to respond to it, whether they think you're right or you're wrong. I do this all the time. I ask all the time, do you think I'm right? Do you think I'm wrong? What do you think of this? Because again, I'm looking for somebody to come back and say to me, no, I don't think you're right, and this is why I don't think you're right. Or, yeah, I think you're right, and this is why I think you're right. That's what the debate is all about, and that's what this discussion is all about.
And you learn so much from it, I think.
Yeah. All right, and now the other thing is very important. Try to respect your due dates, guys. Try to get this thing in. Your deadline is Wednesday, so that would be, the main topic would be due on the 11th, right here. That's it. After that, it's going to be late, and you're going to lose points. So keep that in mind. And then Saturday is the 14th. Here's the problem. If you guys wait until the 14th to submit your replies, while it tells you could do that here, and I don't knock your points off if you do, you got to understand something. If you deliver a reply on the 14th, who's really going to have time to reply back to you? So you've really not participated in the discussion doing that. So all I'm saying is do your best to try to, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, try to do your main post by Wednesday and try to get replies in either Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday. That gives the people who are in the post with you some kind of a chance to reply to you. I understand that there are times when, getting something into the last minute is better than not getting it in at all. But like I say, you know, try to budget your time as best you can. I'm sure you can find 10 minutes before you go to bed to go in and enter a reply to a student. Okay? You guys got any questions? Hi, Margaret. How you doing tonight?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Okay. You emailed me before?
I did.
Okay. I'm glad you got here.
Hi, Margaret.
Huh?
Hi.
So, okay. So, you guys, either one of you got any questions about this? We're good? We're okay?
Yeah.
You're okay. Okay. All right. Let me go back then. Let's go to the assignment. Let's get to the assignment here. Where are you? We'll go down here. Okay. So here, assignments, and let's go to week 2. All right. Week 2, right there. All right. Week 2 assignment, recoloring a subject. So, what we're going to be doing here is we're going to be doing this in 2 parts. We're going to be doing this in part 1 tonight, which is what I call the first part, or the selection and masking of the 3 images. That's the first thing we're going to do. And I'm going to do, let me jump down. I think Lori was here. I mentioned this in front of you. Maybe I didn't. I think I did. There are 4 pictures available to us here. Okay, one of them is not available. Let me go down here. Wow. Let me see. Where are you? There they are. Okay, so these are our ladies. So dress 1 is that one. Dress 2 is the one that I believe is unavailable. For some reason, that link is not working. The 3rd one and the 4th one are working. So okay. What I did was I downloaded 1, 3, and 4. I didn't download 2 because obviously the link's broken. You only have to mask out one of these pictures. You don't have to do all of them. You only have to pick one. And to be completely honest with you, that second one, I mean, from what I can see, it looks like it's a real pain in the neck to do. Whereas this one here was difficult. This one was mildly difficult. This one was simple. So you've got 3 images here that I'm going to show you how to do all 3 of them. You have more than enough to do this project. The other thing that you have to do in this project is to download these Swatch Groups, any one that you want. For your information, you're going to see this momentarily. I downloaded this Swatch Group right there, the very first one. Why? I don't know. I just did. I downloaded the first one. I figured, well, you know what? I'm not going to fight this. I'm just going to put one in there, and I'm going to see how it goes. So I just grabbed the first one. You can choose the 2nd, the 3rd, the 4th, whatever you want. You only need 1 Swatch Group, and in the end, you only need 1 photo. 1, 3, and 4, download fine. Did either one of you try to do this yet?
No, I haven't.
Okay. Well,
I've been working on it.
Okay.
I did notice Dress 2 wasn't downloadable, but I've been working on Dress 1.
That's fine. Dress 1 is cool. Dress 3 is cool. And Dress 4 is cool. What I'm going to do tonight is I'm going to show you how I did all 3 of them, because I want to give you some idea of there's many different ways that you can skin this cat, this masking cat that we're going to be working on tonight, many ways. What I'm going to try to do tonight is I'm going to try to focus on the most direct and the easiest way to do it. There is a rule that as a graphic designer I like to follow. And some people would probably criticize me for it, but I believe it's very justified in saying that as a designer, your responsibility is to try to keep it simple, stupid. I really think that is a good way to work. You do what you have to do to get the job done and no more. And you always try to go about it in the easiest, most direct way possible. You got dress number 1, dress number 3, and dress number 4. Each one of these dresses are very different from one another, and the pictures are very different from one another. But you'd be surprised at how the basic techniques that I'm going to use to silhouette the areas of the dress that I want to silhouette, how easy it is to make them work. Is there a little bit of work involved in it? Yep, there sure is. But again, very simple, very direct, and you can really make it work very well. Okay? So what I'm going to be doing tonight is, so accurate selections, masks are essential. Decide whether you intend to use quick mask, pen tool, color range selector, or channel pull. What I can tell you right now is that I am going to use quick mask. Pen tool I think is too complex for this. So instead of the pen tool, I'm going to show you how to work in a slightly simpler way using the Polygon Lasso tool, which is similar. The approach is similar to what you would use with the pen tool, but it's a whole lot easier. The color range selector I don't think will work for these pictures quite as well. The channel pull might work, but I think I will use the channel pull next week in one of our images. So I'm going to save that for them. And then you're going to use the swatches. You're going to download one of these swatches that you can use to pick color. We'll do that tomorrow night, okay? And then you're going to download your pictures and then mask out only the dress so that you'll be able to apply various blend modes to each mask. Now, it tells you to use all these blend modes. Again, I'm going to tell you flat out that there is a very simple and direct way to do this. And I'm going to show you the very simple and direct way to do this. And am I going to use a blend mode? You bet your butt I'm going to use a blend mode. But I'm not going to be using a whole bunch of different blend modes because in this particular case, I only need one. And what I'm saying to you is when you do this kind of a thing, you always try to do this in the most simple way as possible, the most direct way as possible. So that's essentially what I'm going to do. And then what you're going to do is you're going to color them. So let's see, you will mask out only the dress. You will be able to apply various blend modes to mask each of your swatches. Tip: once masked, duplicate the dress into 4 separate artboards. Okay, now you don't even have to do this. All you have to do is, and I'm going to show you how to do this. All you're going to do is you're going to create 4 separate layers, and you're going to have the colors on 4 separate layers with the blend mode. And all you're going to do is hide and show each layer. And then what you can do is create your JPEG for each artboard to make the contact sheet. What you're going to end up with is you're going to end up with one recolored, second recolored, third recolored, fourth recolored. And the recolors that I'm talking about, there's your colors. So there's like that red, there's that green, there's that tan, there's that teal. Or there's that yellow, there's blue, there's green, and there's dark blue. In other words, there's your 4 colors. And I'm going to show you how to do this. We are not going to be working on colors tonight. We're going to be working on masking tonight. Tomorrow is going to be the colors. Tonight it's all going to be masking because I want to basically do all 4 of them. That'll give you a really good idea of how I go about doing this. And I may not get through all 4 of them, we'll see, but I'll try to. I don't want to rush this, but I want you to see how similar my approach is to all 3 of those pictures. Each one of those pictures have similarities to them, but they also have differences. And I just basically want you to see how a singular approach, if you know what you're doing, how singular an approach can be and how much you can accomplish with the least amount of energy, sweat, and time. Okay? Are we good? Any questions about any of this? Oh, you're going to create a contact sheet. I will show you how to do that tomorrow night. There is an actual tutorial that you can go and you can look at here, but I'm going to show you how to create that contact sheet tomorrow night. Not tonight, but tomorrow night. As I say, what's going to happen tonight, I'm going to basically show you a little bit about how these pictures mask out, and then I'm going to actually go in and I'm going to actually do the masking, and I'm going to, as soon as I get done masking one, I'm going to go right into masking the other, and after I'm done with that, I'm going to go right into masking the other. I'm going to give you plenty of time to ask me questions about what I'm doing. Margaret, you said you were already masking these things?
Yes, I used the color one, and I've got the dress all selected out. So, and I can I did just to play around with it.
Yeah.
done an adjustment layer with the hue and saturation. So I was moving the slider and making the dress change color that way.
Okay, well, I have a better way, a more exacting way, and a more interesting way, which I'm going to show you, and you can play with that. Now, very quickly, what mechanism did you use to create your selection? Did you use the quick selection tool?
No, I actually used the color. I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head. I used the
color range.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, I'm going to show you the basic approach that I'm going to take with this. Is I'm going to use the quick selection tool, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to work after I quick select it. I'm going to clean it up. I have to clean it up a little bit, and then what I'm going to do, I'm going to go in and I'm going to select and mask. I'm going to use the select and mask, which is a brand new technique that they have here to make my mask nice and smooth. And then once I do that, I'm going to apply a layer mask to it, and then I'm going to show you how to prepare it, get it all ready for color. All right? So I'm going to do that. That's what I'm going to do and show you. You, if you'd like, may go in and try my method and see whether you think my method works better. I don't know what your method looks like right now. And how do you think your method works? Does it look pretty good?
Yeah, I had to clean it up a little bit, but it looks really good.
Yeah, you always got to clean it up. Yeah, you always got to clean it up. There's no way out. You're going to clean up whatever you do. That's just part of it, you know. So if you're happy with it, you know, again, as I say, just give me a chance to show you what I'm doing. See whether you like what I'm doing, because what I'm doing, I think, is probably a very easy way to go about doing this. And it also is fun. I mean, see, when I do work like this, I enjoy it. I have a good time doing this. So, you know, I actually don't mind working on it, playing with it, and struggling with it a little bit. And, you know, I can do it now pretty quickly. So it's not like I go on and on laboring and pulling my hair out anymore, you know. So it's kind of fun. And then I'm also always looking to see how well I can make this thing work. You know, so it's a challenge from that standpoint as well.
Well, so, I can tell you that the Photoshop CC has definitely come a long way from when I was in school and doing Photoshop with CS6. I mean, it's only been what, 4 years.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because it's actually easier to use it now and to make your masks. I was surprised, your selection and stuff. Yeah,
it's great. They actually have improved things quite a bit. So actually these photos, they look, this one here is so simple it's ridiculous. This one here is really a lot more treacherous looking than it is. It's actually fairly simple. This one here is a little bit treacherous. But it's very doable, and I did it. And really, in this one here, the only thing I didn't change the color of the dress at all. I just changed the color of the fringe, and it's very cool. Very cool. Yeah, I mean, you know, you don't have to take this literally. I mean, you know, like I say, in dress number 3, that's a black dress. It's going to be very difficult for you to change the color of a black dress because black is absolute, and that color isn't going to recolor it properly. So, in reality, the options that you have. The fringe. I'm going to show you that in a minute. So yeah, so you know, I have a really healthy outlook on this. I'm looking for you to do the job. I'm looking for you to do the job well. And if I see that you've done the job well, I try to show you as much as I possibly can about how to do it. And then I just look to see whether you do it or not, you know? And if you do it, then you'll learn something. I mean, I'm sure you're going to learn something, you know? All right, so I guess I'm good here. Are you guys good here? You got any questions or anything that you want to talk about before we move on?
Nope, I'm good.
All right. Okay. So next step, we're going to go to our dresses. All right. So let me go over here to the very first one. Now, here is my very first one. And, right, that picture is the one that you were working on, Margaret?
Yeah, that's the one that I was doing.
All right. So let me open this up just a little bit, and let me show you a couple of things. So I'm going to just open this thing. And I have a layer. On this layer, there's my little color sample. See that? So I just basically imported that color sample, and I put it on a layer. I have my background layer here, and it's locked. I can unlock that if I want. It doesn't really matter very much. But the important thing for you to understand is that my original background layer never gets messed with. That background layer stays just the way it is. And I utilize that background layer for every single thing in this picture except that dress. Okay? You guys got that?
Yeah.
So then what I do is I come up here and I duplicate the layer and I desaturate it. Do you know what I mean when I say desaturate it?
Yeah.
I turn it into a grayscale image. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it and show you how I do it. But I'm just explaining what I did. So I desaturated this, meaning essentially on that layer, originally this layer was just a duplicate of this, and it was all colorful like this. I created the layer, and I moved it up here, and I desaturated it. What it means essentially is with the layer selected, I go to Image, Adjust, Desaturate. And what it does is it basically removes all the color and turns it into a grayscale image. Okay? Now, you see I did that to that layer right there? Because that layer selected. I'm going to go Edit, Undo because I don't want that desaturated. But you saw what it just did, right?
Right.
Now, the reason that I'm desaturating this, there's two reasons that I'm desaturating this. Number one, I'm going to adjust the brightness and actually, I'm going to adjust the levels. I'm going to actually adjust the levels of this. And by desaturating it, I'm making it neutral. And by making it neutral, I can then create a layer of color above it, which I can blend into it and create that color dress a lot easier. Is what I'm saying making sense to you at all?
Yes.
All right, watch this now. So here is my my mask, and I'll show you how to make the mask shortly. The only reason I'm doing this is I want you to get a quick idea of how this is going to look. And then, of course, Margaret, you can tell me whether yours looks anything like mine, okay? So here's my desaturated layer with the mask. Now watch when I hide this background picture. You see what you end up with? There's your dress. That dress has basically been desaturated. Now, I have this levels command here, and what the levels does is it enables me to do this. You see how I lightened the dress?
Yeah.
And I can come in here with my, since this is a this is a layer adjustment, I can come in here and I can open this up and I can endlessly adjust this thing. See, I'm making it even lighter. All right, I don't want to make it too much lighter, but I can make this a little bit lighter or I can make it a little bit darker, okay? So I made it just a tiny bit lighter, and now watch, I have this layer here. Now this layer here is set to normal at 100%. This layer is set to normal at 100%, and of course this layer here is set to, it's just, oh, it's closed. Okay, let me bring it back. It's set to normal 100%. This layer up here, which is my color layer, which basically how I did this was I came over here and I held down the shift key and I clicked, the control key, and I clicked on my mask that I created, and then I created a new layer and I filled that mask with that color. Okay? Now you're going to see me do this. I'm just explaining it to you as we go along so that you can see what happens. Okay, so you understand? So that selection on a blank layer, when you dump the color in, will fill that area with that color, and it will end up looking like this. Okay? Now, of course, it's been set to normal. This layer has been set to color. I'm going to bring it back up to normal so you can see what it really looks like. That's what it looks like. It's normal and 75%. It would look like that normally. Okay, so watch. I'm going to go select, deselect, and you can see what we got here. Okay, so you see what I did? I basically created a layer, and on that layer, I filled that layer with the color. And then I used my blend mode right here, which is normal. I'm going to bring it down to color. And then there's my color. And if I wanted to lighten that color just a little bit, because I thought maybe that color is a little bit too much, I come in here with the opacity, and I drag the opacity down to around 75%. And I think I'm pretty close to that color right there. See what I mean?
Yeah.
Margaret, Does yours look anything like that?
I haven't gotten that far yet with the color of the actual coloring the dress with the swatch yet. I just did the hue and saturation just so I could change the color, but it actually, my mask is pretty tight though.
Good. Okay. That's excellent. All right. Now, I'm quickly showing you how to do this. This is nothing like the way you did it though, right, Margaret?
No, not at all.
Okay. So what I'm going to do now is I have my dress 1 start. I have my dress 3 PSD, dress 3 start, dress 4 start. There it is. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to show you, let me show you dress 3 PSD. Yeah, okay, so here, this one here, I just want to quickly show you this one. What I was saying to you before is this is a black dress. There isn't a whole heck of a lot you could do with a black dress. I mean, the dress is black. If you try to put color over top of it, you wouldn't get anywhere with it. So what makes sense to me, at least from a design standpoint, is instead of focusing on the dress itself, focus on the fringe. So here we have this yellow fringe, and what we're looking for is a bright red fringe, a green fringe, a tan fringe, and a teal fringe. So what I did here, just to show you, is I created the red fringe, and there's the red fringe. Okay, so you see how you can literally change this thing amazingly by just doing the steps that I showed you how to do in the others. Okay, so you get the idea, and if you open this up, you can see in here that I have a color. I actually went hue and saturation on this one, and this one here I masked. And I masked that hue and saturation so that it just filled in that fringe area. Okay? So we're going to do the actual exercise now. Let me start with dress number 4. All right, so here's dress number 4. This is the first one I'm going to do. So I have this set up already. Watch this. I'm going to show you something. There is my dress. My dress has already been cut out. All right, so I'm going to start this whole thing all over again. I'm going to throw that away. That leaves me with layer 0 or dress. I'm going to call this dress 1. The first thing I'm going to do with this is, actually, before I even do this, what I should do is go to image and go to image size. And I should show you, because this is something that I mentioned to you before. Look at, this has a width of 3,513 pixels and a height of 3,000 pixels. Its resolution is set to 300 pixels per inch. So what I want you to understand here is that, let's change this to inches, because if it's got a resolution of 300 pixels per inch, guys, then more than likely this piece of art is going to be used in a print environment, because print requires at least 300 pixels per inch. You don't really need 300 pixels per inch in web. You only need 72 pixels per inch. And if you're going to print this thing off of a color copier, you only need like 180. So 300 pixels, and this is good for us because that means that there's an awful lot of image data there, which will make it easier for us to do this project. But I wanted to show you this because I want you guys to understand that this is an important part of the whole process. You, in Photoshop, because it's resolution dependent, you have to know how big the image is, and you have to know what the resolution is. You guys understand this clearly? And can you see how I'm focusing on this because it's very important?
Yes, definitely.
Okay, very important. Now, the other thing that you might want to do here is you might want to figure out what 3513 pixels is. So you come over here and change it to inches, and oops, I missed it. Go to inches, and see now the width of this thing is 11.71 inches wide by 10 inches high. So that's a decent sized image. It's not huge. You couldn't make a poster out of it, but you certainly could use it in a brochure or in a catalog. Okay? So that's what I wanted you to see before we even begin this process. Now, why? Because what we're going to do involves a certain amount of effort and time and work. And I will tell you very flat out that when I started this process, I made many mistakes of not going in and examining my images before I work on them. And I found that there were several times, more than several times, until I learned what I was doing, where I actually worked on images that after I got done doing all this wonderful work on it, I wasn't able to get the thing to the right size. So it was just like a whole waste of effort. So I really wanted to point this out to you because it's something that I think that we should be very cautious of when we work on this stuff. So you're not going to have to do this to all the images, and I'm not going to do this to all the images, but I thought I would at least do it to one, give you the idea of why it's important for us to know the size and resolution of our image. All right? All right, now what we got to do here is we have this dress, and what I want to do with this dress is I want to isolate the dress. And I think, let me go back here for a second. Okay, let me go File, Place. Let me place this. Place linked. And let me go into Color Swatches 1. Here we go, and Place. Boom, there are my color swatches. Let me move my color swatches right there, and let me place them. Okay, so now I have my pictures. I have my dress 1, and I have my color swatches, okay? So I'm bringing these color swatches in, and you know what? When you submit your work, I don't really care if you have those color swatches in there. You could have those color swatches in there and show me those color swatches. Perfectly fine. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take dress 1, and I'm going to drag it down here, and I'm going to create dress 1 copy, which I'm going to rename to dress 2. Okay, dress 2. Now, one of the reasons that I'm doing this is because I'm going to mask this dress right here, and I'm going to use the background dress, or actually the rest of the background image with the masked dress in front of it so that you'll see the color of the dress over top of my original picture. Does that make sense? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to now come in here, and right now I'm going to zoom in on her a little bit. There we go. And that's pretty good. The reason I'm zooming in on her, it just makes it a little bit easier for me to get closer to her. Now, I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to choose the Quick Selection tool. Before I come in here, let me go to my layers, make sure I'm on the right layer, Dress 2 layer. I'm on Dress 2 layer. I'm going to use the Dress 2 layer for my mask layer. So I could come in here very easily and just go on Dress 2 layer. Really doesn't matter if I go on Dress 1, but Dress 2 is the one I'm going to use. So I'll start off on here. The important thing for you to understand here is that I'm going to come in and I'm going to try to select this purple dress. Now, the reason that I say to you that this particular picture is a fairly easy picture is because the process of using the Quick Selection tool, what the Quick Selection tool attempts to do is it attempts to find areas within the image that you're trying to select that are the same. And it will go and it will grab as much of it as it possibly can. So if you take a look at this dress, even though, you know, there's some darker areas and a few little lighter areas, it's almost pretty regular through her entire frame. Okay, and the edges are fairly well defined. In here, it gets a little funny. It gets real funny in through here, and it even gets a little funny in through here. And what you're going to find is, as I go to make a selection out of this, I'm going to have trouble with this area right here, this area right here, and that area right there, because they're too dark to differentiate from the dress. So is what I'm saying makes sense to you somewhat? Do you have any questions about it?
No, it makes sense.
All right. So the next thing is you take a look at my little cursor here. Can you see the little tiny circle in the middle of that little crosshair there? I want to make that. This is my Quick Selection tool, and I have this thing set to add to selection. Right now, I'm just going to create a new selection. So I clicked on New Selection. I'm holding down the Alt key, and what I'm doing is I'm using my you know, your 2-button mouse, you know, the right hand side of the mouse. I'm clicking on it, and you see how I'm dragging to the right, making my little cursor bigger. See it? See what I'm doing? I'm holding down the Alt key, and I'm holding down my right mouse button, and I'm dragging my cursor bigger and smaller. See what I'm doing? Did you know how to do that?
I did not.
Okay, so again, you can change the size of this up here, which means that you have to come up and you have to run these settings, or you could do what I'm doing, which is to hold down the Alt key, find the right button, click and drag it to the right to make it bigger, drag it to the left to make it smaller. I want it to be about that size right there because I'm going to try to select her entire dress. Okay? Got any questions about what I just did there? You guys good with it?
No, can we also use the bracket keys to size it?
Yeah, you can.
Okay.
You can also use the fancy bracket keys to do it. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah.
Just checking.
Yes, you can. Bracket keys, fancy bracket keys also do it. Okay, now, all I'm going to do, to keep in mind what's important, this dress and why it's so simple is because it's a pretty powerful dress. It's dark, and it creates a very distinct outline to a point. There's an area in here where it falls apart. There's an area in here where it falls apart, and this bag has a black plastic strap, and it literally gets lost in that dress. So I'm going to have to carve this out. I'm going to have to carve this out, and I'm going to have to carve this out before I can actually continue with my mask. So the rest of this, though, is pretty easy. Once again, make sure, let me bring my layers out so that you can see actually what I'm doing here. I'm on dress 2 layer, and I'm going to come in here, and I'm just going to click, and I'm going to start dragging. And you see how quickly it literally just grabs that entire dress. See that?
Yeah.
And actually, it does a pretty good job. Now, if I come in here carefully, you're going to see a couple of things. First of all, you're going to see when I come in here. Now, you see how this area has not been selected properly?
Right.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is I am going to get my I could come in here and I could try to play around with my quick selection tool, but I think it's probably a lot better in this particular case. I go to the Polygon Lasso tool. And what I want to do is, you see where these selections are up here for the Polygon Lasso tool? See this one that says add to selection?
Uh-huh.
Okay. This is already added to the selection. I want to remove it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold down the Alt key or the Option key and see what happens to my little, look, I'll do it over to purple so you can see it. When I hold down the Alt key, do you see what it does?
Yeah.
Negative, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that means that it's going to remove this. So what I'm going to do is, and you could do this with the pen tool, but the problem with the pen tool is it's more work. I think this is a lot easier. So, and you don't have to be perfectly exact on this, and you can take your time and do this. All right, so I'm holding the Alt key down, and I'm going to start clicking, and I'm just going to go up, and I'm going to follow the edge of this dress, just like I'm doing. Going to go as close to the edge as I can possibly come, and you don't have to try to do it all in one go. You do it in little tiny bits, and try to get right on the edge. Keep coming up, and right about there. And then come down, keep coming down. I may have to back up a little bit. There we go. Now I got to get on that line better. Come down. You want to get right on the line because you don't want any of that purple dress sticking out. So you really have to do this a little bit careful. But you see how easy I'm doing this? This isn't that difficult, is it?
No.
So I keep coming around, and I just keep working along the edge of that dress. All right? And I'm almost there. Come down. A little bit more, and I'll be there. Keep coming down to here, and almost there, come out, and then come out like this, and then go over to where I started and find where the there we go. Okay, I double clicked on it, and can you see how I cut that away?
Yeah.
All right, so that's how I remove that area. And I remove these areas first. Now, see, look at her arm. Can you see that there's a little bit too much going on in here?
Yeah.
Okay, so again, hold the Alt key down and come in here very carefully, click. And I'm just going to follow along that dark area of the dress. And I'm going to remove this highlight. I don't want that highlight there. So I'm going to keep coming around like this. And I'm going to, I don't want that see, I can probably just come right across like this. There's a little tiny bit of it here. I might as well try to do that as well. come over to here, and then come down to here. Then come back to where I started. There, and see, I cut that out. Now this area here, I need to put in. So I'm going to click, and I'm just going to bring that area in a little bit. And I'm trying to make that selection a little bit cleaner right in that point right there. There, like that. All right. Now I'm going to scroll up. So you guys understand what I'm doing? I'm just basically looking at this, and I'm seeing that there's a couple of spots that I need to fix. I might actually come over here and fix this a little later on. But, you know, again, I don't have to worry about this being incredibly perfect. It should be close. And this looks all right. I could, you know, I could probably, you know, fix this just a tiny bit. I'm being extremely fussy, but that's how you do this. You know what I mean? You get a little bit fussy with it. Now let's go over here. And that looks okay, but I think there's just a little bit more that it has to go over. Let me bring it up a little bit and bring it over to about there. There we go. There we go. And let's see. I can fix this area easy enough right here. So what I want to do is I want to get rid of this area here. So again, hold the shift key down, and I'm going to come here and I'm going to start clicking right down her hip. Just down her hip, just like this. Bring it right down to here.
Is that the shift or the option key, Bill?
The alt and option. Sorry,
okay.
The shift.
Okay, just want to make sure.
Alt or option, and I click here. See, and you see how that took it right to her hip?
Yep.
Okay, now that leaves me with this area, right? And let me look at the bottom. The bottom looks okay. I guess the bottom will be all right. See, it's a little bit off here, but you know what? I'm not going to be totally fussy about this. You can clean this up a little bit, and I'm going to show you another trick in a minute. But the biggest problem that I have with this right now is right here. This is my big problem. See, that looks okay. My big problem is right here, really. This thing right here. And this can be a little bit dicey as to how to get rid of this. So what I would do, depending upon the circumstance, what I did before, and this worked out okay, was again, I'd hold the shift key down and I'd come in here and I would just work my way down this thing using the Polygon Lasso tool, and I would just work around this shape a little bit. And it doesn't have to be exact because it's very dark in there and you're not going to see it that much, but you just try to work around that. See, what I'm doing is I'm just trying to work around that shape using I'm holding down the alt key. I'm sorry, actually, I think I messed this up. There we go. Let me try it again. Got to hold down the alt key. I held the wrong key down. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to work my way down this thing. All right. Work down it. All right, come around, down, come around, down. I'm going to do this a little bit quick. So, I mean, in reality, I would spend more time with this, but I don't want to waste the whole night just working on this. And I shouldn't say that because it won't take me the whole night. But I'm saying I would take a little more time doing this, right? You guys understand? I'm rushing a little bit because I don't want you to just sit here and watch me do this for a long time. So I'm kind of rushing it. But you would take your time and you would go around here and you would carve this thing out because this is not going to be colored. You want this to end up staying black, which is basically what it is. Just keep working around here, and you could, you know, come down a little further with it like this and bring it out, bring it around, bring it in, bring it in. We're almost there. Almost there. We're getting there. Okay, click here and then bring it all the way around like this, and then you're just going to work your way up. Work your way up the other side like this, and you come up and work up the other side. Like I said, I would probably spend a little more time to do this a little bit better, but I want to get it done. All right, keep going up like this, like that, and just keep working your way up until you get around it. I could try to do this with the quick selection tool, but believe me when I tell you, the quick selection tool would be a pain in the neck for this because there's just no contrast there. There's no edge. So, and the other option I could have is I could try to paint it in when I actually turn it into a mask. But in my opinion, this is probably just as quick to do it the way I'm doing it here is probably just as quick. There. Okay, so you see now that's gone. Okay?
Yeah.
All right, now let's go view, zoom out. And let's zoom out again, view, zoom out again. All right, and let's see what happens when we turn this thing into a mask. All right, so you see now this whole thing, this whole figure, this whole dress is all selected, and it looks like it's selected pretty good. In other words, it's right up to her bust line here. Her shoulders are good. The arm looks pretty good. The hip looks real good. This all looks good in here. All right, so what I'm going to do is with the selection on layer, dress layer 2, I'm going to just come over here and click on the add layer mask. It's all you got to do. And now there's the layer mask. Now watch this. There it is.
Mm-hmm.
So you see how you do that?
Very cool.
Margaret? What do you say about that, Margaret?
Yeah, it's pretty good.
So that is how I mask this. Now, here's the thing I want to show you. This is the thing that's really neat about this. Watch this. Okay, so you see how crude and rough this is right here?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so I could live with that. If I wanted to, I could live with that. However, there is a way that I can actually smooth this out and make this look a whole heck of a lot better. And I figure that this is something which is new to the program. It's a little bit advanced, but it's not terribly advanced. It's something that I think is well worth showing you how to do. So to do this, if I go over to my mask, and if I think if I double click it, no, that's not it. Okay, I can do it this way then. Like if I select the mask, I go to the drop down menu, and let me see here. I can't get it from there either. All right, so I select this, I go to the select menu, and I go select and mask. Okay, select and mask. See it? So the first thing is you want to click to make sure that the mask is selected. You got that?
Yeah.
All right. Go to the select menu, select and mask, and let go. And what happens is you get the properties, and the properties allow me to decide how I want this to look. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here and I'm going to try it on white. Let's see what it looks like on white. White's pretty good. So let me try it on white for a moment. All right, now, I have all these settings here. Now, the opacity setting I don't want to mess with because I don't want to mess with the opacity. I don't really want to work with the radius right now yet. What I do want to do, though, is this is awful choppy looking. So what I think I want to do is I want to try to smooth it out a little bit and maybe bring the contrast up a little bit, and if absolutely necessary, maybe even shift the edge slightly. So that means that I'm going to come in here. Do you see where smooth is?
Yeah.
That's the first one. Click on smooth, and I'm just going to bring it over like maybe 3 or 4. And can you see how it's already smoothing this thing out? It looks like I need to go a little further with it. Let me go a little bit further with this. Let's go to smooth. Let's go to maybe 6. 6 is fine. Yeah, 6 is pretty good. So I actually took the smoothing over to roughly 6. Can you see how that smoothed that out quite a bit?
Yeah.
All right, now, contrast. What is contrast? Contrast means that, can you see how that thing's kind of fuzzy along the edge there?
Uh-huh.
All right, by bumping up the contrast, what's going to happen is it's going to take that fuzziness away. So I'm going to take the contrast, and I'm going to slowly start dragging the contrast over a little bit. And let's see how far I have to go before it cleans that. See, it's starting to, the contrast is starting to come up. I brought it up to 44%. That's an awful lot. But can you see how much cleaner that looks?
Yeah.
Yeah. And if I wanted to, I can actually put a little tiny bit of feather back on it. There. And that softens it ever so slightly. So what I did was I added 2.5 pixels of feathering to soften it slightly. I brought the contrast up until it's like 44%. These are numbers that I'm doing visually here. I'm just doing it visually here.
Right.
And then, of course, smoothing, I made smoothing around 6. So now here's the thing. Watch what happens when I hit OK. All right? What happens is I now have this thing cleaned up.
Mm.
And it is much cleaner if I go to the View menu, Fit on Screen. There is my dress. And you can see that that dress looks pretty darn good. Okay? Do you guys got any questions at all how I did that? Are you guys you're good with it? So really, what I'm trying to show you here is that there were 3 things that I employed to make this mask. And I started with the simplest one first. I'm going to go in and I'm going to do the next one, and that's going to be a little bit more harder. Then I'm going to do the next one, and it's going to be a little more harder. Maybe it's not harder, but harder in a different way. But I think if you watch what I'm doing, I think you're going to see that I'm pretty much doing the same thing in all 3 cases. It's just a variation on a theme. And the reason I'm doing this is so that you could actually see me apply the same basic techniques to all 3 of the garments, which will help you, I think, make it possible for you to do this assignment a lot easier, okay? So this is what you're going to end up with. You're going to end up with dress with the girl, and now the dress is there, but it's behind this masked dress. See what I mean? You're not seeing it because there's the masked dress, okay? So that picture's there, and the dress is still on her in that picture, but you now have a masked version of that dress on her. Okay, I'm not going to get into colors tonight because that's for tomorrow night's lesson. Mostly what I'm doing tonight is just trying to show you how to do the masking. That's my goal for tonight, is to get you guys to see the masking and understand how the masking gets done. So I'm going to go File, Save As, and I'm going to call this Dress 4, and I'll call this Dress 4 number 1. Okay, and hit Save. All right. And that means that this is stage 1. All right, so you got any questions at all about this? Anything you want to ask me or say, anything at all?
No, I'm good. I'm pretty amazed.
You're going to see almost the same thing take place again, Lori, with the other 2 pictures. It's going to be mostly the same sort of procedure to do this. And the only reason I'm doing it this way is because, this is a teaching environment. It's intermediate, and I want this to be done in the most effective way as possible, and I also want it to be done in the easiest way as possible. There are other ways of doing things like this, but this is the easiest way, and at the particular level that you're at, I think this is probably hard enough for you. What do you think, Margaret? Can you handle this? Do you think you could try this and do this?
Yeah.
Laura, you too? You're good?
I do too. I think the Polygon Lasso tool is a neat tool. Never used it before, so I'm looking forward to delving into that.
When you watch the videos that I have in the announcements, they talk about the 3 basic ways to do this. They talk about using a channel, which I'm going to show you next week. I'm not doing it here because these pictures don't work with a channel very well. The picture that we're working on next week for our not unicorn, but our Pegasus. What do they call those guys? They're half horse, half human.
The centaur?
Centaur. Yeah, we're going to create a centaur next week.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and the centaur, there's a couple of guys that are against a white background. And when you have a white background like that, a channel pull is an excellent way to make a mask. So I'll show you how to do that there because that makes more sense here. I tried to do a channel pull on this, and it just was so hard. I thought if I show these people how to do this with this at this point, they're just going to hate me. So I figured, you know what? I'm going to show them how to do this stuff here because this stuff here works for this type of image. All right? So it's just a choice I made because I know that this is the best way to go to make it so that you guys can handle it. All right, so this is it. This is it for now. Tomorrow when we come back in here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the next step, which would be how to turn this dress into the proper structure for adding color to it to make it appear like red, green, tan, and teal. Okay? So that's what I'm going to do. And then once you know how to do that, you'll know how to set up your, whatchamacallit sheet, your proof sheet. All right? And I'll show you how to do that as well.
Great.
Right. So let's go to this one here. And let me get out of here. I don't need this. Let me close that. Hit save it. No. All right. Dress 3. All right. So let's do this one last. Let's go to dress. Let's go to this one I'm going to close. All right, and save it. No. All right, so this one is the one that I'm going to do next. Okay, so this one we're going to do next. Okay, so once again, go to image size, which I'm not going to do. Actually, I'm going to do because I'm going to see what it is. So this is roughly the same size. All right, so I'm not going to go through it again. So I'm going to basically just drag a duplicate of this layer. You always want to work with a duplicate layer. I unlocked that layer. I want a duplicate layer. So this is going to be my background. And as you can see, the picture of the girl, she's very colorful. But you can see that the background's very neutral, isn't it? It's pretty much kind of gray-greenish all the way around, isn't it? See what I'm talking about? How that's very colorless?
Yeah.
And she's got beautiful color on her. So what we're going to do is we're going to leave her fresh color on her skin. We're going to go after the dress, and we're going to modify the dress and change the color of the dress, and then we're going to leave the background neutral, okay? So once again, what we're going to do is we're going to start off with our quick selection tool. Again, the reason that we can get away with the quick selection tool is because by and large, and I don't mean completely because it's not completely perfect, by and large, there's a nice contrast between the area that we're trying to select, which is the dress area, and everything else that's in close proximity to that dress. Now, here, it gets a little lost and confused because it's so dark in there. So I'm going to end up having to go in there and carve this up a little bit. And some of the areas by the floor here will also give me a little bit of a problem because there's shadows and stuff that I have to kind of work around. But by and large, I shouldn't have too much trouble capturing pretty much that whole dress in one shot using the quick selection tool. And that's why I'm trying to show you this, because you guys got to do this. And before I even came into the class, you got to understand something. I've done this many times with other pictures, but I never used these pictures before. These are the first time I saw these pictures. So before I even came into class, I sat down on my own time and I did each one of these things so that I could become familiar with this, so I would know, what the best way would be to go about doing this quickly and efficiently so that you don't kill yourself or make yourself unhappy having to do it. All right?
Sounds good.
All right, so now I'm just going to come in here and I'm going to start making my selection. I'm going to work around her body, and I'm going to go for everything I can go for. I can see already I ain't going to get that part of the dress yet. So let me come around and let me get the rest of her dress, and I can tell you already that I'm going beyond the line in certain areas. See how it's going beyond the line?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm just going to keep coming around, and I'm going to keep grabbing the entire dress, keep working on. Don't worry about it when it goes out. I'll fix that. Come in here, and I think I can get a little bit more over here if I try. Okay, and now I'm going to come in here, hold down the Alt key or the Option key. You see the little negative?
Yep.
All right, and I'm going to click, and I'm going to remove some of this stuff outside the dress like that, and across here, move across there to get rid of the stuff outside the dress. All right, and then I'm going to come up here, and I'm going to get her shoulder as well. There's her shoulder. So I got basically, I got a little area right here I got to get. I think I got it. All right, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to begin the process of really taking a look at my selection and fixing any shortcomings that I may find. So to do that, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to zoom in like that. And again, come with the Polygon Lasso tool. And see, I got a whole bunch of stuff going on here with the hands. So actually, before I get the Polygon Lasso tool, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here, hold down the Alt key, and I'm going to drag in here to remove her hands. Okay, so you see how I actually was able to remove her hands pretty well by doing that?
Yeah.
Not perfect, but I got pretty much all of it gone. And as a matter of fact, I got some of this gone as well. And if I hold down the Alt key again, I can get rid of that little area too. And if I'm really careful, if I hold down the Alt key, I may be able to get rid of some of that, which I did, but I lost a little bit there. And let's see, this area here has to go as well. So yeah, we're okay. There's another little spot right there. Yeah, so you see how I basically got rid of a lot of that?
Yeah.
Okay, so now what I got to do is I got to come in here and I have to bring some of this back. This little area right there, what I could do with this is I could hold down the, let's see here, hold down the Alt key, and with the right arrow, I can drag that down and make it really small. So I could come in here and I could click and maybe get that area as well.
Oh.
Okay, so you see how I now got a lot of her dress?
Yeah.
Margaret? What do you think?
Yes, I actually tried this way when I was at work today, just playing around with it.
Okay, how did it go? Did it go as well as mine?
Yeah, I was able to use that whole, like you're doing right now with the subtracting and going around and making your brush really small, and then going around the small, like her fingers and stuff, and getting rid of that part, and it just selected the whole dress.
So you did pretty well.
Yeah.
All right. So basically, as you can see, guys, I'm actually pretty close here. Now, there's one other little thing here. You see these little diamonds or these little rubies or whatever they are on her chest here, on her top of her gown? I want to get them out of here. So again, I'm going to hold the Alt key down, and I'm just going to paint over top of them, and I'm going to remove them as well. Okay, now I don't care if I get a little bit of gold there. I'll come out a little further if I want and get that gold as well. That's okay. Okay, but what I'm mostly concerned about is I'm concerned mostly about that. Yeah, see, so I got those gold brooches as well. I think that might be a good look. See how I got the brooches? They're going to stay gold. All right. All right. Now, what I want to do, though, is I want to zoom in. I want to zoom in quite close like that. And I want to start carefully just scrolling around her body and see if I missed anything. I see an area right here that maybe I want to click on and get some more out of. There we go. See how I grabbed that little bit there that was not out quite enough? Maybe here too. There might be a little area I could grab there. It didn't look like it grabbed very much, so I'm going to let it go. Let's go down. Let's keep scrolling down, and let's take a look at what we see down here. Let me move this out of the way. I actually bring it in there and close it for a moment because I don't need the layers at this second. Let's go down. Let's go down, and let's see what's going on down here. All right, so now I see a couple of little problems beginning to take place. Here's something. All I have to do is click on the negative, and I can remove that. So you see what I'm doing? I'm actually just sort of cleaning it up. There's an area I don't like that, so I'm going to click on that just a tiny bit. See what I'm doing? I'm trying to really clean this dress up. I know you probably think I'm out of my mind, but
No.
you know, if you were doing this in real world, this is what you would do. You would very carefully, try to isolate that dress. Now here, for instance, all right, see, that looks okay. Here, for instance, hold down the Alt key, and I'm going to come in here, and I'm just going to remove this a little bit. There we go. And I went too far with it, so I'm just going to come over here. See if I can get that to come back. That is much better. See how that's much better?
Yeah.
Okay, here's another little area. Hold down the Alt key and come in here and click and see if I can remove a little bit of that. And I'm actually getting somewhere with it. Went too far with it right there. All right, so this is going to give me some trouble. So what I'm going to end up having to do with this is I'm going to have to end up working with the Polygon Lasso tool to fix that up. And there's an area there that I'm going to fix with the Polygon Lasso tool. So I get the Polygon Lasso tool here, and you see it says add to selection? You see that says subtract from selection?
Yeah.
I click on subtract from selection. All I have to do now is I don't have to hold down the Alt key. I can just come in here and I can click, 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 and it's subtracted. Isn't that great?
Yeah, it really
Come
is.
over here, click, and bring it up into here, and then just bring it out like this, and it subtracts. Here, I think I want to subtract a tiny, 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 tiny little bit right there, so I'm just going to come in here like that, and I subtract. Okay? And see how much better that looks already?
It does.
All right, so this is just the actual making of the selection. That's why I'm saying tonight what I wanted to do is I really wanted to focus on the process by which we select things. Now, here's another area where I want to clean this up. So I'm going to come in here, and I'm just going to come around like this, and I'm going to come up, and I'm going to carve out a little bit of this because I don't want that much of that. That is much better. I could even go up further if I wanted, but I think that'll be fine. Let me move over here. And I'm going to come in here like this. I'm going to go up like this, maybe into about here, and then come around, start coming around like this, bring it over to here, and then come out, and then come down here, back to here. There we go. Okay. So you see what I'm doing? I'm basically, this area here looks like it, well, I think that's probably all right. I'll let it go. It doesn't have to be perfect because I'm just trying to show you basically how to do this. Okay, so this area here, I'm going to come up and come in like that to about here, and then I'm just going to come out with it like this, There we go. And again, what I may end up doing with this is I may end up coming in here and see if I can get this to come forward just a tiny bit. And I did, but then I just threw myself all off. So I have the same problem over here. I wanted to see if I can fix that a little bit. That's better. Yeah, that's better. Okay, so I'm going to use the regular Polygon Lasso tool again to just come in here and fix that. So I'm basically I'm really cleaning this up because I really mean it. You know what I mean? When I'm doing this, I just want you to understand, in my mind, I really mean what I'm doing here. You know what I'm saying? And when you're doing this, you should look at this very carefully and say to yourself, what can I do? What little things can I do to make this thing look believable? You know?
Exactly.
Yeah, and now I'm starting to work up here, and I think we're probably pretty good up this way, at least for a while. We get up here, we're okay. I see one little area that I think I want to deal with. Right there, I want to deal with that. So this is going to come like this. I might have went too far with it, but that's okay. There we go. And then this area here, all right, so let's see. This area here has to be added. So I'm going to come in here carefully and click that to bring it up a little bit. There we go. That's pretty good. And this one here, I want to remove it. Let me try it this way. That worked out pretty good. I'm clicking. Yeah, that's not too bad. Now hold down that. Let's see if I can get that back up there a bit. Oh, wrong. Oh, jeez. Okay. Well, that's not too bad. What I may do with this, let me just come in here. Let me go in here like this real quickly. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add to this one. All right. So I don't know. I got this little hole here. Let me fix that. There we go. So I'm going to add to this one. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to click. I'm going to go right up to the fingers. And I'm just going to carefully work around the fingers and try to make this look decent. I know I'm being very fussy, but you know what? Like I say, that's what this is all about. And there's only a few areas that I'm trying to really be fussy with, guys. So, you know, don't hate me.
No, it's helping me.
So here, and bingo. There, okay, so you see what's happening? Yeah. Now here's an area that has to be removed. So I'm going to come in here, hold down the Alt key, and I'm going to click to see if I can get that out. And while I did get it out, it caused other little additional problems, but I can address those problems by just getting my Polygon Lasso tool, making sure that I have it set to, what do I want to do first? I want to add first. So I got add. So the first thing I want to do is add. So I'm going to just come up here like this and add to the selection like this. There we go. Not bad. I want to remove from selection. Oh, no, wait a minute. I want to add to selection. Yeah, I want to add that to selection. Sorry. There we go, like that. Up a little bit, add to this selection. Let's go right to here. Click there, bring it over, and then come down to there. Pretty good. That's pretty good. See how that's not bad?
Yeah.
Okay. And you see I'm zooming in to do this. Now, here's where the problem lies. This has all got to go. This actually has to be added. So what I can do is I can just come in here like this, and I can add this little area here. See what I'm adding? That's part of the dress.
Right.
So I add that part of the dress. Okay? Add that part of the dress. And then what I want to do is, and I got to actually add this little part of the dress here. There's a tiny little spot right there. I'm just, you know, I'm trying, you know what I mean? I'm trying to make it good. Now what I want to do is I want to subtract. Okay, so this area has got to go away. So I'm going to come down here very carefully. Just follow along the line. You know, remember now we're zoomed in quite a bit close. We're not going to be zoomed in the end like this. Just going to follow around generally the edge of her little whatchamacallit here, whatever that is. I guess it's a little belt of some kind, or trim. It's a trim actually. And I'm just going to follow the trim until I get around here to the dress. Then I'm just going to follow the dress until I get to a point where I can end this, and then come up here, and boom. You see how that all's gone now?
Yeah.
And it's all following the edge. All right, now let's keep going up because we're close. And this area here has to be removed, right? So I'm going to come to here, click, and I'm just going to remove this ever so slightly here like that. There we go. That's pretty good. And I'm going to add, I think I got to add just a little tiny bit right here. A little bit right there I want to add, I think. Like that. Like I say, I apologize for seeming like I'm crazy, but you really, I'm trying to do this. I'm trying to do enough of this that you really get a sense of what's going on with this. All right, now, there's a little bit of funniness going on through here. So I'm going to remove, there's a little tiny bit I'm going to try to remove right here. Okay, remove that. There we go. And now over here, I think there's a little tiny bit I want to remove right there. Okay. There we go. And I probably have to add a little bit back. Then this is going to be removed, this little area right here. See what I'm doing? I'm looking for areas that are not dress.
Right.
Yeah, and I'm removing them. There, and now that's removed. So the only thing that's left perhaps is to add a little bit right here maybe. See what I mean? A little bit right there, maybe a little bit right here, and maybe just a little tiny bit right here. And that, I think, should do it. There we go. That looks really good. So you see, all this is not dress.
Right.
All the rest of it is. And it all looks pretty much like it's there, right? What do you guys think?
I think it looks good.
See what I'm going for? Now, let's go up to the top, and let's see what's happening at the top here. All right, so I got a little bit of funkiness going here. Let's remove that. So this actually comes in a little bit squarer, a little bit more like that. Okay, there we go. That's pretty good. Now, her shoulder, okay? Let's see if her shoulder's good. Yeah, it's probably a little bit more I want to add right there. It just looks like a tiny little bit more that's got to go here. So I'm just going to come in, grab that little tiny bit right there. Perfect. Now, I have a little bit of area here, which is kind of like shadow. So I'm going to remove that. All right, so I'm going to come in here. I'm just going to carefully run down this area a little tiny bit. I want to get rid of a little bit more of that because it's actually shadow over her skin tone, I believe, is what that really is. So I'm just going to come along like this and knock that out. And I'm going to do the same thing right here, just a tiny bit. Like I say, I'm really trying to make this thing look pretty good. You know, come down here like this, like that, just to make it so that it's not shadow, but dress that we're going to be coloring. I don't want to shadow. I don't want to color her shadow or skin in any way. That's probably good. Now let's check over here. I don't know. What do you think? That looks pretty good, right?
It does.
Let me just quickly look at my brooches. Yeah, those are fine. I guess actually I could probably go a little bit more here. Maybe a little bit more right there. Oh, there we go. That's probably a little bit better. Yeah, they look probably believable. Yep, that'll do it. Let's go view. Fit on screen. There's our selection. Go to our layers. And we're going to be on the background layer. Copy, which I'm going to call this SILO dress. ESS. And now I'm going to hit mask. And now, watch. There's my mask. Okay? Whoop. What do you think, guys?
Very cool.
Are you guys good with this?
Yeah.
All right, now. 43. I think I have just enough time. Do you guys got any questions? Can you see exactly how I did almost the same thing in both dresses, though?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
So this is the point. This is the point. I could show you other ways to do this, but these are the most solid, basic ways of doing this. Now, what I can do is the exact same thing. I can click on my selection layer, go to select and mask, and I could open up the properties, and if I zoom in on this, watch what happens if I come in here. Okay, this actually looks pretty clean. But if I go to properties, once again, I could come in here and I could smooth this. Let me bring it over to about 4. There, that actually smooths it a bit. Let's pump up the contrast some. All right? Smooth it a little bit more. That's probably pretty good. And hit OK. And now let's view it. Let's go view fit on screen. And see, it's actually even cleaned up quite a bit more. See it? There's my girl. All right, so I'm going to call this, I'm going to save this file, save as, and I'm going to call this dress 1-1. Okay, so I got dress 4-1 and dress 1-1 and hit save. Tomorrow night, I'm going to show you the next step, which is how to manipulate these things and color them. Okay, so I got dress 4 ready to go, right? And dress 1 ready to go. Okay, guys? Oh, and by the way, what I can do is go File, Place again, Place Linked, and get my color swatch 1 and hit Place, and put my color swatch in here, and File, Save, and place it. And now that's ready to go. Dress 3. You ready for dress 3? This is the one that's a little bit on the tricky side. However, not that tricky. Let's go view, zoom in. Okay, and let me go view, zoom in again. There we go. Okay, so what are we going to do with this guy right here? Again, go to the layers panel and let's drag down and create a duplicate layer. Come on, you. There. Call this background. Oops. Background and hit OK. And then this one is going to be silhouette. Whoops. Come on. Come on. Come on. Hey. You sucker. Come on. There we go. S-I-L-O. Silo Fringe. F-R-I-N-G-E. Fringe. Silo Fringe. All right. Same deal, guys. Come over here with your first of all, make sure I'm on my layer. Silo Fringe layer. Background layer we're going to leave alone. Going to come in here with my quick selection tool. I'm going to, I'm using the arrow of the bracket keys to bring this up a little bit. And I'm simply going to start clicking and dragging all the way around to get my yellow fringe. I'm just going to go all the way around and I'm going to get my yellow fringe. Get as much of that yellow fringe as I can get. And see, it actually selects pretty darn easy. And I'm going to go outside the line a little bit, so I'm going to have to do some fixing on it. But that's okay. Get as much of this yellow fringe as you can get. Come in here and you know, really go for the yellow fringe. Get the yellow fringe. Try to get everything that you can get here, and we'll worry about cleaning it up in a minute. Okay, so that looks okay up there. I got an area down there that's no good. Here I might have to get a little bit better. I'm going to try making it a little smaller and see if I can get closer in there to get that. See, and I can get to a certain point here, and then I can't go any further in. So there, okay. So now I'm going to come down here, and I'm going to grab this fringe here as well and work my way through and get all that yellow fringe. Keep going until I get it all. All right, and I'm not too concerned that I go outside the lines because I'm going to fix some of it in a little bit. I'm just going to grab all this fringe. Try to get it all. All right, try to get all that fringe. And I'm pretty close, pretty close, pretty close. Pretty close. I don't have this yet. All right, let's come in here and get that. Pretty close. There we go. And there we have it. Okay. So there we have it. We're pretty close. Now, what we're going to do is going to clean it up. We're going to come in here and we're going to clean this whole thing up. One of the things that you could do that's real easy is to, again, use the Polygon Lasso tool. I'm going to start off by adding to the selection. I noticed that right here by her hand, there's a little area that is wrapping around her finger. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to add that part to the selection. You want this thing to be believable, so you're going to, you know, really try your hardest to, there we go, get that in there. This looks all okay, except that there's a little area right here that I actually think is very dark, but it is also part of that fringe. So I'm going to deliberately go into trying to get that as well. Right there. Okay, good. And now I'm going to sort of work my way around and look at everything. See right there between her fingers? There's a little bit of that yellow showing in there too. I'm going to want to go for this. I know you think I'm nuts, but this is what you do. You walk around and you look and see your yellow fringe and see whether you've got all of your yellow fringe selected. This all looks pretty good so far, right? There's a little bit up there. I could possibly try to get that as well. It's really not that much, but it's there, so I'll try to get it. I didn't get it too well, but I'm going to move on. I think it's good enough. Keep moving down and looking at your fringe and see what your fringe is doing. So I got too much selected here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here, hold down the Alt key, and I'm going to see whether I can remove that black. And I got some of it gone, but I didn't get all of it gone, and I didn't get it gone right, so I'll have to do a little bit of work to fix it up. So you see how this is going to give me some trouble here. So I'm going to have to play with this and try to make it work. I may have to actually do a little bit of, yeah, see, I'm going to have to do a little bit of carving on this because it's just giving me trouble, okay? So here's what I'm going to do. Go back to my Polygon Lasso tool. I'm going to use the subtract, and I'm going to come in here, and I'm just going to subtract some of the areas that I don't want. What do you guys think? So far, my method here, is it really understandable and clear?
It is. You
have no trouble understanding what I'm trying to accomplish and how you can accomplish the same thing and then in the end have something which is going to work for you, right?
Correct, yeah.
Okay, so I think this is all pretty good. Let me see. So that's out, that's out. I could probably whack this out as well. This wouldn't hurt if I knocked that black area out as well. Yeah, you know. I'm probably getting too crazy about this right now because I'm running out of time. All right, so anyway, I think all that looks pretty good. Let me come around here. Let me see what's going on down here. So I got too much going on down here. So this is an easy one right here. So what I'm just going to do is come over here. I'm just going to remove this area right there because that's an easy one. Just come around like this and whack that right out. Boom. The foot. That foot looks okay. This area has to come in, so I'm going to add to the selection. Remember, you got to change this. I'm going to add to the selection just that little bit right there by your foot. Okay, come around like this and add that little area right there by the foot. There we go. And now what I want to do is, I'm going to leave this. This is probably okay. The foot's okay. I probably could knock that one tiny little area of her foot out right there maybe. And that's good. Okay. I want to add that. I want to add that. That's right. I want to remove it. So I had the wrong one selected. So I just changed it to the remove. Click that and click that. And now that should remove it. And it did. Okay, so her foot's got to go. So what I'm going to do now is this. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to click this and come around. Click this and come up. Click here, click here. Click here. So I'm working around her lower ankle. Come up here, slowly move into here, and click, and then just carefully kind of move around the circle. Pretty close. There we go. I am trying to do this well. I should really be taking a little more time with this, but I'm running out of time, and I want to get it done if I can. So you just remember that when you do this, you take your time and you do it neatly, come around neatly. As I say, I'm not entirely doing that. Okay, so now I'm going to come around like this, come around like this, come around like this to where I start, which is right about there. And okay, so you see her whole foot is out of that selection now? Everything that you're seeing in this area here is correct, except for that one little thing, which is fine. We can leave that. It's not going to hurt anything. And I need to add here a tiny little bit. So let me add to that. I need to add just a tiny little bit right here. Okay, add to the selection. And here I'm going to add to this selection a little bit right there as well. There's just a tiny little area where I'm going to add.
I need to go ahead and go, but I'll finish watching the rest of this.
Yeah, you're seeing. Yeah, that's perfectly fine. You're going to be able to come tomorrow night?
Yeah, I'm going to try.
Okay, very good. Have a good night then.
Have a good night. See you tomorrow.
Okay, bye.
Great having you. All right, so I'm just basically now doing a little bit of cleanup here. This is going to be, I'm going to subtract a little tiny bit there. Like I say, I'm being fussy, but fussy is really what makes it look good.
We have to be, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm just going to keep working around and taking a look at my, this is basically okay. I mean, I could probably make that a little bit bigger, but it's all right. I'm going to be happy with it. I mean, if it were something I was doing, I'd work on it a little bit more, but you get the general idea.
Yeah, and you're under a huge time crunch.
Now, here's where we run into a problem. This is where we run into a problem.
Yeah.
But if I come in here now, see, I can start selecting this because I'm closer.
Yeah.
And I can come up, okay, and I can reduce the size. I'll reduce the size of my little selector. See, and I can come in here now and I can get more of this. See how I'm able to come in here and get this?
Yeah.
All right, now I'm going to have to do a little bit of cleaning because this is getting a little bit treacherous here.
Right.
But basically, I can just keep reducing the size of this thing and feeding it along here until I get all this selected. Okay? And it's actually selecting fairly well. See, it really tapers out. So I'm going to just
really get smart.
I sloppily did it. So now what I'm going to do is just come in here, hold down the Alt key, and carefully see if I can just run along here and knock some of that away. Okay? All right, like that. We're knocking it away a little bit. I got to clean it up somewhat. That's probably okay. I'm not going for perfect. I'm going for generally perfect. As long as I'm able to make this thing work to a reasonably good degree, I'll be happy. That looks okay. I'm going to just clean this up a little bit more. Let's come down and see. This has got to be added to a little bit right there. There we go. And this has got to be removed a little bit. That's actually pretty good. Let me remove here. There's a little bit that's got to be removed there. And right there. Looking good, looking good, looking good. And I think what we should do now is we should zoom out for the big look. So let's go view, fit on screen. I think, oh, you know what? By that hand. I'll bet you any money. Yes, there is air. See right by the hand there? Yep. So again, polygon tool. There are add, subtract. I'm adding. So I'm going to click on this, and I'm just going to come over here carefully, and I'm just going to draw that little piece in. See, it's a very blurry little area. So if you get it generally in the right position, you don't have to be perfect with it. You just have to make sure it's in there. Now, it's the same with this. You can just kind of come down here like this and run it in, and then just kind of like, you know, carefully run it around that object, and boom, there you have it. There. Let's go view. Fit on screen, and I think I got the whole thing. I think I do. So let's go to our layers panel. We're on the Silo Fringe, layer mask, and now watch. There's your fringe. Cool, huh?
Wow, that's really neat.
Okay, now all we're going to do with this is before we go any further, we're going to make sure that the layer thumbnail is selected. Let's zoom in on some area. Let's zoom in here, I guess. Let's see what that looks like. Yeah, that's probably pretty good. Let's zoom in there, and let's go to layers, and let's hide the background layer. Okay, and now let's go to select and mask. Let's go to properties, and let's go to smooth. Let's smooth this to about 6. Well, I have it to 11. That's fine. Contrast, let's bump up the contrast slightly. And maybe shift the end in. And let's hit OK. And let's see what we end up with. Let's go view, fit on screen, and bring her back. And there it is. There's our masking. So you see, my point is, I think there's one little, no, actually, I think it's okay. Yeah, it's okay. So you see, my point is, instead of going for the entire black dress, which makes no sense whatsoever, black, and you're never going to be able to make it work properly, just go for the fringe.
Exactly.
Make the fringe what you're going to recolor.
Yeah.
Okay? So there you go. I've shown you how to do dress number 4. Okay. Yeah. Dress number 4. I've shown you how to do dress number 1.
And 3. And
dress number 3.
Very good.
All right. So bottom line is all you need is one of them.
Right.
Tomorrow I'm going to come in. We're going to have another 2 hours, and we're going to work on coloring this. I'm going to show you the next steps involved in coloring this. So what do you think, Lori? Was this easy enough to do, do you think?
I think it's fantastic. I'm literally, you're not boring me, trust me, but sick and I just
Oh,
started
that's
to
fine.
fade
I
out there
know
towards
that.
the end. But no, I understand the tools, and it's gonna, take a while and to practice. But you really instruct well, Bill, and you show us different things and how things work and how to use things, and you go step by step, and that's how I learned. So really appreciate it. I think you did a fantastic job because I understand it, and
Well, it's all there, and you got 3 of them. You know what I mean? So each
exactly.
one of these 3 is one that
Yeah.
you're going to pick. So it's
Right.
you can pick whatever one you want to do, whatever one you think is going to be fun for you to do. That's the whole thing. Do it if you think it's going to be fun. If you want an easy one, here's the easy one right there, number 4.
Yeah,
That's the easiest one. You
yeah.
can't go wrong with number 4. It's so easy.
Right.
So if you want an easy way out, there it is. If you want something a little more fun, try dress number 1 or dress number 3. Either one of those 3. So tomorrow what we'll do is we'll come in and I will take it from here and I'll show you the next step into coloring this thing, because this is just the masking part of it. The next part of it, of course, is the coloring and then the preparing this thing for your submission. Okay?
Sounds great, Bill. Thank you, and thank you for the links and your time. Have a great night.
Thank you very much. It was great having you. I hope you're here tomorrow night, all right?
I will. Thank you, Bill.
Yep. Okay. Have a good night.
You too.